I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Head & Shoulder Scalp Shield, never not working.
We are making the virtual HBCU experience available wherever you live through Stillman Online. We offer online degrees in business, criminal justice, psychology, and religion. Stillman also offers technology badges in cybersecurity and data analytics. You can participate in all student activities, fraternities and sororities, internships, graduation ceremonies, and much more. Apply for admission today at stillman.edu. Stillman College, where we prepare you for a different world.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Whether it's advice on managing your anxiety or tools to help you stay grounded, Coping-19 provides a range of resources and self-care tips to help you cope with this pandemic. We can help. Find the resources that work best for you at coping-19.org.
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
One bite of 100% Angus beef ballpark frank, and you'll say, hello, summer. Oh yeah, it's ballpark season.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Hello and welcome to another live edition of the ONG Strike Zone. I'm Brian Fulford, joined by my Rattler brothers from another mother, Kelvin Rozier, Kofi Hemingway. Kelvin, Kofi, how you doing this evening?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Blessed, too blessed to be stressed. Doing well. What's good?
Awesome, baby. I'm doing wonderful. We got a W, so I'm back. I'm there.
Glory to
Amen.
God.
All praise to him. All praise to him. We got, yes, FAMU got a W. We're back on the winning side of things. volleyball team got a sweep. I mean, it's a beautiful weekend in for Rattler Nation, our athletics. Man, it felt good to just have a week and not hear any kind of foolishness, no noise. It was just a quiet, good weekend. Let the student athletes, be the front and center piece of everything we're talking about. And we got some W's, and then now we got a bye week, and bye weeks just mean craziness always happening. But we'll get into that coming up here on tonight's show. As the appropriate title says, we got 3 candidates, or maybe 4. We'll talk about that alongside of all the other stuff that's happening on the field and on the court. Coming up in the second hour of the show, we'll get into the Swac roundup. And week 2 was just a bevy of beatdowns by some teams. And, Coach Prime got a chance to talk on that. And we'll kind of talk about that. And also, we'll have Coach Gokhan Yilmaz, our head coach for our volleyball program. He'll stop in to talk to us fresh off the win. The Lady Rattlers have 4 games coming up over the course of Thursday, Friday, over 4 days.
5 days.
5 days. 4 games in 5 days. Yeah. So, and they might be hitting their stride. So I was seeing an interview. So it's a good time. We've also got some news involving our women's and men's basketball. We got some SWAC honors. So we got plenty to talk about. Thanks for everybody for jumping in early and joining us. Shout out to Dr. Lori back in the chat room moderating. I already seen she not taking no foolishness from none of y'all today. She served notice with the first three comments in the chat room, just to let y'all know, if you come with that foolishness, you're gonna get sniped, kicked right out the box. So all praise, shout outs to you, Dr. Lori. Good to have you back. Hope you're feeling well. Hope everything's going well. If you're following us, if you're not, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ONG Strike Zone. You can also find us via the Jericho Broadcast Network's app, which you can download on the Google and Apple Play Store. Just go search My JBN or My BCSN. If you're watching us right now on YouTube, stop what you're doing. Hit the thumbs up button. We appreciate that. And then make sure that you have those notifications for all of the shows, not only ours, but all of the shows that come on the Black College Sports Network. You'll get that notification. If you're watching us on Facebook at ONG Strike Zone, make sure to hit that thumbs up as well. Every now and then we post some comments. I know, Kofi always drops some great gems from his Facebook page, which we'll always put out there, and just all kinds of different stories and links. So we're trying to find ways to keep everyone engaged and enthused. And as you see, you can always send an email to us, ongstrikezone@gmail.com. And then go follow the podcast, the Pod Zone, BCSN Pod Zone is where all the shows can be heard. All right, guys, so let's start with the game. FAMU, Albany State. Albany State comes in, of course, the defending SIAC champs, a team that we haven't played in 29, 30 years. The last time we played them, we lost 2 in a row. It was great having Dr. Darlene Moore come in, and we got a good feel for Albany State and everything from last week's show. So let's kind of start with best and worst from Saturday's game. I'll start with you, Kelvin, since I was sitting right next to you for most of it. What was best and worst from the weekend?
I would say the best was, I give it a tie. Xavier Smith had a really good game. Had a lot of yardage receiving, had quite a bit of yard rushing on some of those jet sweeps. Looking like the All-American he is. So it was good to see that, because we really hadn't seen that. We saw some of it in the Carolina game, but he hadn't dominated like he capable of, and that was pretty dominant performance. And then also the kicking game, particularly our field goal kicker. Uh, I think he's 4 for 4 on the year right now,
Yep.
or 5 for 5. But he's been very accurate, and he created separation Saturday because the offense struggled inside the red zone to punch it in. So, but it's good to know that we got an All-American and we can count on those 3 points when we fall short. Now, the worst for me would be the start of the game. Um, Albany State drove the ball straight down the field and scored on their first drive, and we were looking a lot like we looked defensively against Jackson State and much of the North Carolina game. And then when they got their second drive, they moved the ball pretty well, but we ended up um, keeping them out. So the defense did make adjustments and so forth. And actually, we'll get into later on when we really talk about the game. The stats bear out that they didn't play poorly, but the standard is the standard, as Coach Smith always say. So we're looking for a more dominant performance as we get further into Swac play.
All right, good deal. Kofi, how about you? Best and worst from the game.
Like Kelvin, I would say Xavier Smith really showed up and showed out, but I would also like to point to DeAndre Francis for stepping up in the game, and I think he rushed for over 80 yards, and he did quite well. He showed his quickness, showed his explosion, really good stuff. And I want to say, obviously, like Kelvin, I want to say the special teams player with our kicker was absolutely amazing. He's been super consistent, and I'm really happy that he showed up. And he's a part of our football team because we're going to need him. The worst part is I want to say I hate to go there, but I got to go there. Just Dr. Robinson doing that darn Rattler charge at the beginning of the game is just making me feel some kind of way. It's just like, can we find another way to do it? Like, can we get somebody else to do it? Maybe Carmen Martin can come out there and do it. Maybe can we have auditions for people to do it? Auditions. I think we need to do auditions for people to do the Rattler charge, because just giving it to the president just because he's the president is just, it's not good. He doesn't do it well, and it just takes the wind right out the sails. It's like, we need something else. We need something else, my God.
He had more energy, though, Kofi. You got to admit, this time he had more energy, I think, than I've ever heard. You're still not giving him nothing for that, huh? Okay. Well said. Okay, so I'll get to my best. My best for the weekend. Right there, I'm right there along with you. I got kind of a 1A and 1B. 1A, I'm going to go right there with DeAndre Francis. 18 carries, 79 net yards, 1 touchdown. It was good to see him come in, but overall, we ran the ball 40 times. That's what I really, really liked seeing, is that we ran the ball 40 times. And Francis had 84 or 79 net. Xavier had 49 net. Now, Jalen McLeod, who actually started, ran 37 yards and then got hurt. And so the fact that we responded, because we started that game without Terrell Jennings and A.J. Davis. Coach Simmons had said, I believe, during one of his press conference or media sessions, that those two were dealing with some minor injuries in which they held him out for precaution, which I think is good, given the fact that we got a bye week. So it really kind of gives them 2 weeks. But then when you had McLeod go down, it was kind of like, okay, who's going to carry the rock? Francis did come in, did a great job, I thought. And behind him was really only young guys, like young freshmen were behind him. I think one of the guys, Dylan Hall, didn't get any opportunities, but he's the most experienced guy, and that's like going. Now we start moving into fifth and sixth back in that running group, in that running room. So, but just overall, 40 attempts, 190 yards gained, 165 net. That was good to see against a very good division, even though they're Division 2, a Division 1 level type defense. I was really impressed with the first line. They didn't have much depth really when you get into the second unit, but I thought the first group was pretty good. And then sort of my 1B was just the weather. How about, we talked here last week, right? And Vaughn kind of gave us a heads up that we might be dealing with some weather. I know on my drive to Tallahassee, I dealt with rain pretty much from like Gainesville all the way up. I hit a stretch I-10 where it was nothing but like sheets of rain. So I mean, I had to drop from 70 down to like 50, and I mean, but then by the time kickoff, it cooled out, it stopped raining, and you just got this beautiful evening. I mean, no humidity. I don't even, was there a slight breeze? It was just so comfortable. I mean, we sat outside. I'll get to that in a second, but we ended up sitting outside for that contest, and I mean, it was just beautiful. Then you had a full moon by the time the third quarter came around. I mean, man, that's just a beautiful night in Tallahassee for football to open up the season. Brings me to my worst. All right, so the new press box and the media room and the new suites are all set up, and I tell you what, it's very impressive. Plenty of room for your dignitaries and all the people who need to be in suites and want to host and entertain and ball and parlay and do all that other stuff is great. We even covered. I mean, look, this press box was set up where everything is there. You had 2 press boxes for 2 radio stations. You got a TV broadcast. Yeah, there's a good view of it right there. That upper level, you got some media folks in the middle. You got a production TV room. Hey, even the campus patrol people up there in the upper left. You got suites down on that bottom level. Everybody except working press. Except for the working press. If you write, tough for you. If you're not one of the first 6 to 7 people to squeeze into a tight seat, it's half the space. And I'm talking the space for working media is, if you look right there in that picture, right underneath the A&M, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 windows, that's all you get. That's all you get, working media. And there's no back row. So if you look, that's why we ended up looking. I think we're in that picture there, Kelvin. If you look far to the left, in that very top row, you see the little awning there with the orange tint, and you look in the back row. I think that's your polo right there. That's you in the white, Kelvin. I think I'm right there to the left. That's where Kelvin and I sat. Beautiful seats, but it wasn't planned. I feel we had to kind of mark it off because there is a small little section right there where you really can't see the left corner end zone. So I don't know. Look. Yeah, no, there really is a blind spot. It's like one of those old baseball parks that has like a beam that's just right there in the middle, and they say, hey, there's a certain spot where you're going to be sitting behind a beam, and you can't avoid it. So anyway, I'll let Kelvin kind of talk for a second on that. But overall, that was sort of my worst, and I'm nitpicking. Trust me, because for most of y'all, you may never make it up there anyway to go ball and parlay in those suites, and you may not be working media, so you could care too less about our comfort. But that's just my own personal worst. Kelvin, I'll let you kind of talk about seeing that thing actually in its function. I'll turn it over to you and let your comments flow from that.
The press box originally, the design that was ultimately delivered was not the original design. Previous athletic administration, along with the executive administration, made a decision in which they wanted to entertain and possibly be able to get sponsors and so forth. So they changed the original design. The original design was more functional for people who actually work on game day. So the spaces and so forth were more geared to them, coaches, bots, and the working media and radio and all that kind of stuff. And some of those things had to be readjusted based on the desires of the leadership at the time. So the media room, specifically for folks who do writing and stuff, that got cut the most. So like you say, you pointed at three windows, but really it's the area that's just for the working media is, I think, one window, maybe two, and you can only get 7 people in there, and that's squeezing it. And
That's a small
there's
7.
there's an
That's a small
opportunity.
7.
There's-
That ain't a big 7. That's a small 7.
that is true. There is an opportunity. There is an opportunity though to put maybe um some kind of a riser or something, like a 1 or 2 inch riser in the back, so that you can and put chairs on the benches or chairs on it, so that you can accommodate probably double that. And that was mentioned to folks to see if that was possible. And the other thing, in terms of the press box and being functional for the working folks, is that they, instead of those chairs, they need actual bar stools because of the height for the windows and everything, so that folks don't have to stand up to see the action. Those chairs were too low, and that also has been passed on.
While we're talking about sort of the game day operations, I think 18,861. My number, my final 3 digits. That's about right. I know it was just under 19,000 showed up. I'm sort of surprised about the 18,861. Honestly, probably felt like more like 15, but I could be missing a 3,000 people that might have been in the north end zone, that might have been in the press box, or I should say the suites now. So who knows? I may be missing 1,000 people somewhere. But anyway, we'll take the 18,861. I saw they had the concession stands open on one side. On the west, I don't know what about the other side. So and so that's any other operational things that you guys want to point out about what you saw. Look, first home game is always, yeah, you can speak to that. I
A
don't know why
dry
it has to
run.
be that way. Yeah, it's a dry run. I don't know why it has to be that way, but let's just say it is. And thankfully there are 4 more and they'll get better. I will say, anybody working media, memo to working media, you better get your credentials in early, and you better get there early, especially if you want to try to find a seat, or you better just find a spot outside. Either of you want to speak on the operations of the game day experience? Any thoughts?
Well, the concession stands on the east side, the main one, that the softball team, they need to be equipped to be able to take cards. Everything was just cash, which made life kind of difficult for a lot of people. But on the flip side, the softball team was very innovative, and they actually began running drinks and food up to the stands, which I thought was a good idea. Because we need runners in the stands. A lot of people don't want to leave their seat and definitely don't want to stand in the line. If you have a runner, that makes life a whole lot easier. Some people hadn't been to Bragg Stadium with the new renovations, in particular the walkway at the very top row, the standing room only section, as well as the other walkway at the bottom. Both of those really do help the stadium to be a whole lot more functional. And I'm happy with the 18,000, considering that it was raining. Would have loved to have seen more, but I understand. Definitely with that. So really with the turf, Mr. Rozier, how often do they do maintenance on it? The company that installed it, because it's looking a little bit worn.
You noticed that
So
too,
I was
Kofi,
going.
huh? Okay.
So I was going to talk about some of the operational things, and since you brought the turf up, I'll start there first. Um, Typically, you'll call the company. It's not like a scheduled thing. You have to call them and ask them to come and perform a maintenance service, and I believe resources might have been limited, and the decision was tried to get through this game and then maybe get them to come out. So hopefully that'll happen moving forward. Also, I think there was some issues with the equipment that the university does have to maintain and brush. We didn't have any staff, to be frank, for probably the last 4 or 5 months. And then when someone did come on to provide some kind of leadership there, and they were playing catch up by then. And I think some attempts were made. I'm not sure if they found all the equipment yet, but some of the there were some efforts made, but they definitely need to call the company in and to do a full blown service, and that'll include things like checking the seams and making sure things are glued down that need to be glued down, to drop more rubber pallets on, and then the evenly distributed, and and that all of these things are bring back the color and because what you see, all the black pellets you see are rubber pellets that are part of the surface. And between rain and usage and so forth, you have to do certain things in order to redistribute that stuff. So that's been passed along. It's on their list, so hopefully that'll be done, as well as the scoreboard on the south end zone. um and
By the
and
field
and
house. That's the
and
one you're
for the
talking about, the
second.
field house, right?
Yes, I mean, no, yeah, that's the south end zone. So they ended up not using it because they had an issue with synchronizing it with the large TV video board, and the 70 inch. But and there were some, I believe, some panels out at the bottom. So they took those off and just used the video board. Um, I know that there'll be some more packaging and marketing materials around the video board we have, because that is a rental and that's what we have for the rest of the season. So, but I think it'll look different, and the packaging will look good, at least around it, I think. And
Man,
the
we are
south
sounding like,
and the south end
Hey, look,
zone part should be better.
bruh.
But
let's be clear. Hold on. Let's be clear that the field is not unsafe. I mean, the
right,
field, is still playable. Still, it's just an aesthetic look. It's it's
right,
it's one of those things that we need to sort of brush it, kind of maintain it. It's like those of you who still have hair. You've got hair. If you don't comb your hair and you just keep going out the house, eventually it's gonna look bad. But if you take a brush, you put some grease in it, shampoo it every now and then. If you take care of your hair, then you brush it and you look good. Right now, we in that stage where we just playing on it and playing on it, and we need to, we need some maintenance. We just need some TLC. The field just needs some TLC. That's a good way. And
right.
I know we being nice. Yes, we being nice, but that's about the truth of it, right? It needs some TLC.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Need some
hopefully
service.
so hopefully that'll happen in between. That's a good reason to have a bye week. We had a home game, got a bye week, we got a home game coming up. Last thing I want to mention, obviously we were there. I'm curious, did you end up going back and watching the broadcast from HBCU Go TV, Kelvin? I know you said you were going to record it. Kofi, any reviews that you heard from the broadcast?
I mean, it was a broadcast. You know what I'm saying? It's a broadcast. It was just FAMU at Albany State.
Okay.
It wasn't bad.
Okay.
Charlie
I
Nittle's
mean,
one of the
it
best.
wasn't. It wasn't. Mm-hmm.
He's one of the best. He's iconic in HBCU circles when it comes to announcing games. His voice is kind of like a Howard Cosell or one of your more seasoned announcers. He knows what he's doing. He always does a good job. So it was good. It was solid, you know.
Okay.
And
I had read something about there was some. Okay, I had heard some things about some history facts that weren't correct. You know how we get about our incorrect history and stuff. So, heard somebody saying some FAMU instead of FAMU again. Those are little comments
it wasn't Charlie Neal.
I'm sure it wasn't Charlie Neal,
All
and
right.
it better not have been Greg Coleman, obviously, because he's doing the sideline. So
it wasn't
I don't
him
know who
either.
the other. Yeah, I don't know who the. So anyway, the reviews have been pretty positive. Still waiting to see where what the ratings look like overall. Shout out to everybody who was watching. I know we had a lot of people, just kind of respond to a tweet that I sent out in terms of where folks were watching the game from. So I mean, it's good. They're all the way across the state of Florida. I saw, and then in other areas across the South. So. That was big. So that's why it's important to see what the ratings from that contest looks like. Let's get ready to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to get into talking about what's going on with the AD search, because the search committee for the vice president of athletics has closed their books. They have done their job, but not so fast. There's a new candidate in the mix, allegedly, supposedly. We're going to talk about that and more. Get your prayers right, Kofi. On the other side of the break, you're watching the ONG Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
Let's get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your family.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's been difficult because I hadn't been able to see my grandchildren.
An expression on someone's face when you do something nice for them.
I miss all my friends in school.
Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccine.
The sweet and smoky salmon rub infuses smoked black pepper with dehydrated maple syrup, pink Himalayan salt, ginger, thyme, mustard, and more to make a sweet, savory rub, perfect for salmon, trout, and other delicate seafood.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
You know what time it is? Rock the football, boy.
Only one dog in that field today. Only one dog in that field today. If you ain't no dog, don't put up. Don't put up, man. Don't get in if you ain't no dog. Come on. Where my dogs at? Dog 10. Dog 10. Run the Jesse, ready. Run the Jesse, ready. Begin. F-A-M-U-V.
Yo, that's just a brief snippet of the FAMU athletics video recap of the home opener against Albany State. Well, I tell you, they stepping their game up with the social media post game stuff. Man, I'm tell you what, it's I between hours, and you'll see more of it. It's coming out of some the other breaks. I saw another school in the Swac post something that was pretty dope. But I'm telling you, they got some catch up work with us. So shout out to the social media team. I believe led by Josh Padilla. I want to give them a shout out
He's off
for
chain.
what they're doing. Yeah, they
Amazing.
doing some great work. I got to make sure. We got to make sure to get Josh on the show. Josh is, he's not a in front of the camera kind of person. So, but I want to make sure we do properly give his team some credit because they have stayed on the grind through all of the stuff. That group has stayed on the grind, continuing to work on behalf of the student athletes in our program. Okay, so here we go. Monday afternoon, we sent out a tweet after watching the Zoom session with our executive search committee, headed by Dr. Friday Stroud, come to the decision of finalizing 3 candidates. Now, I believe in this session, they were referencing 6 candidates. And through a process of yays and nays, and it's kind of interesting, this voting process took a little heat from some people through some sites. I didn't think there was, I did question why there was no, look, I'll say this. Anybody who watched it, all right, and it's public. So if you watched it, you watch it. Good luck finding a replay of it because they're not putting a replay out there. So far, my requests and others for access to some of the Zoom information the has not been met yet. So, so we've sort of had to do our own analysis and investigation. But a lot of people are questioning why there wasn't a formal yay and nay for each candidate. I mean, there's only 6, and yes, there are 18 people on this committee. Now, I don't know about y'all. Did you feel like all 18 people were present? Because we really can't tell whether, I don't know if you can really tell that they were all 18 present. Could you? Via the course of the Zoom? I don't know. You tell me. Yes, no, maybe? Okay.
I personally don't care. We've been talking about the darn 18, and forever, ever since their inception, and now that we've come to the end of that rainbow, I'm ready for us to get an AD. So it's time for, I want to see the choice, and we can go on to the next part of this conversation. I'm sick of the 18.
Okay, well, the 18 closed
Except
their
for
books.
Coach Shoot. I like Coach Shoot.
The 18 closed their books, and through the process of voting, they selected candidates 3, 6, and 31. And so, by proxy of previous interviews, it was it is believed by strongly believed, although again, this is not official confirmation by the school because they aren't officially confirming this, but let's see, candidate 3, believe is Miss Angela Suggs. Candidate 6, Craig Angelo, and candidate 31, Tiffany Dawn Sykes. So that is where we left off on Monday night. Then, do I even want to go to the next part yet, or do we want to start there? Do we want to start the conversation there? Because I think the bigger conversation or the interesting conversation is if we look at our candidates now. The candidates, according to the committee, 2 women, a white male. And it's something that, I don't, look, we're just going to talk about it and mention it because we've seen what this culture and environment has done to different, not the norm. Okay. It has sometimes been worried about the wrong things instead of focused on what it needs to be focused on. So I'll just put it out there as we talked about in the back room with our 3 candidates, who they are, all different expertises and have their strengths, maybe weaknesses, maybe, however you want to look at them. Is FAMU ready potentially for one of these 3 individuals to lead the athletic department? I'll start with you, Kofi.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just ready for the whole process to be over. And that's basically it. I've heard it said often that, the culture this and the culture that. Well, let me tell you something about the culture. This culture is toxic and it needs to shift. It needs to change. We need to get somebody, who understands what needs to be done. And that's basically the bottom line. And not only knows what needs to be done, has the skill set to get it done. Throughout the interviews, whenever they would talk with the coaches would cry out resources. We need resources. We need resources. And if you've listened to our show, you've heard various coaches and athletes talk about having to do their own field maintenance on a regular basis, when they could be watching film or coaching, just looking at, the various things across the yard, looking at the track and how it's not in a position right now to necessarily generate a whole ton of revenue. We don't even have really a concession stand in the track area. You know what I'm saying? We really don't have a bona fide concession stand for softball. We don't have a bona fide concession stand for baseball. It's not Division I level, but we expect our teams to get out there and win championships. So in order to get our facilities upgraded, it takes money. And so getting somebody with the skill set who understands how to access those resources, how to get the money, find creative ways to get money, raise money, et cetera, that's who you need. At this point, people say, well, I don't want, look, Angelos is Hispanic. And me personally, if he got the job, we just need to get in line and do what needs to do what needs to be done. If you have somebody, and here's what I would say, and I'm closing out. The right leader just takes care of itself. When you have the right people, the wrong stuff stops happening. When you hire the right people, the wrong stuff stops happening. And that's what we need to happen on the Highest of Seven Hills.
Kelvin, your thoughts?
I think that all the candidates are qualified. They have some credentials. They have experience in athletics. They have experience in leading organizations or in athletic department, dealing with boards, and executive leaders and so forth. So from that standpoint, I'm okay with that 3. they're qualified, and that's what you want at the end of the day. They have some qualifications, so you can't, there's ways to nitpick, but I'm not a nitpicker. There's some qualifications there. However, some are more qualified than others, and I don't want to ignore that. Um, I believe that this is going to be a time where we need somebody
It
who's
should.
seasoned with compliance as well as facilities and fundraising. I think those are some really big things. There is something to be said about trying to maneuver through the culture, but that should have no bearing, in my opinion, on the next AD. Get somebody who's competent and qualified, and let's get behind them, and let's fix everything that need to be fixed and take FAMU athletics to the next level. So I'm hopeful. I will go ahead and touch on this two ladies and one non-African American male. Honestly, man, it's probably about time for something like that. We've been doing it with African American males for a while now, and we ain't no better off for it in a lot of ways. Again, for me, it's about qualifications. If there's somebody with qualifications that was part of that, and it don't matter what color, or ethnic background, or sexual orientation, none of that. I'm looking for skill sets and someone who's going to take FAMU athletics to the next level where we consistently can compete for championships year after year, and going to have the resources in place to do that, because we keep talking about more and more, and that's the bottom line. It don't matter who we get. If we don't get our athletic budget up to 12 to 15 million, then we're going to be in the same place and looking for a candidate down the road next 2-3 years anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. And just want to clarify for some of you guys who are asking in the chat rooms, just so you understand who the candidates are. Again, this is not anything that officially has been put out by the university, but as anybody who's watched this process as it's gone on, the three candidates, Angela Suggs, who's the president and CEO of the Florida Sports Foundation, Craig Angelo, who was recently the former senior associate AD at Temple University and also the actual athletic director at Florida Atlantic University, and then Tiffany Dawn Sykes, the senior associate AD currently at Dartmouth University. So those are our three people. The one question that I keep going back to, and it's not about, yes, I put that out there, that question, because it's just one of those questions that I've heard being talked about. But the question that really needs to be asked: will FAMU allow either of these candidates to do and be their best? Will the culture, will the FAMU culture, the administrative, the environment that has got us into this muck and mess that we're in, allow these individuals to be at their best and allow them to be great? That is the question. Again, three capable candidates, but will they be allowed to be their best? As you just said, Kelvin, will they be given the budget to do what they need? Will they be given the opportunity to call and make the decisions they need to make? That is really an overwhelming question that clouds all three or whomever else comes into the picks. You praising in agreement, Kofi? But go ahead. I don't know.
I'm raising my hand.
I see you.
Yeah, I'm raising my hand. In a nutshell,
I'm just
all
gonna
this
get an
starts.
amen there, Kelvin. That's all right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, amen. And all of this starts at the top. All of this starts at the top. The culture is distributed, or I want to say released or sustained through the leadership. The leadership sets the narrative, not the people. This should not be a democracy. Okay? If it was a democracy, we would have really a whole say in what happens. We don't. The culture is established and maintained by the leadership. Everybody that has failed of late has been under Dr. Robinson, and it is what it is. What this man or woman or whoever it is needs to have full authority to be able to do what they need to do. While they are accountable to the president, Dr. Robinson needs to give them the authority. Legal counsel should not have more authority than the athletic director on athletic decisions when it comes to doing what needs to be done. There needs to be a thorough explanation in terms of what the hierarchy is or what the order is and how things are processed so that everybody is on the same page. And if we can find a more efficient way to get it done, let's get it done. It starts with the mindset. Of late, what I've seen from FAMU is a bunch of people that see the right thing to do, but they're not committed to doing the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing. They allow ego, they allow relationships that have nothing to do with FAMU affect their decision making. Find a way to do the right thing. Is this the right thing to do? Is raising money the right thing to do? Absolutely. Is getting additional resources to Coach Simmons the right thing to do? Absolutely. We don't know. I don't want to hear that. Find a way to do the right thing. This sounds like a good idea. Let's find a way to do it. There are too many smart people on the highs of Seven Hills for us to be this dysfunction. That has to stop. And that foolishness has to get out of the way. And I'm just sick and tired of quote unquote, I want to say ineptitude or just downright stupidity that just comes from people that quote unquote have doctorate degrees. They got doctorate degrees. Desire for you to call them doctorate. But here's the thing. People will call you what they see. And if you, you might have a doctorate degree, but if you acting like, somebody that doesn't, your authority is gone. You have to be careful, leaders. Have to be careful to make sure that you do the right thing. It is so essential that we have that.
Now,
hold on, wait. Dr. Robinson is the freaking leader. He's the leader of the institution. When stuff goes wrong at the institution, they're not calling the cafeteria worker, they're calling Dr. Robinson. So Dr. Robinson has to make sure that the right people are in position. Dr. Robinson is the reason why athletics is in the state that it's in right now for his lethargic, complacent, attitude towards it. So, yeah, Dr. Robinson is getting the heat. It's the heat. Something happens at FAMU, it's national news. It happens at Georgia Southern even. It's not going to make national news like that. FAMU, absolutely. So Dr. Robinson has to step up to the plate. And the people that are around him, they need to be smarter. The people that are in his ear, the people that he allows in his circle, the quote-unquote paid people in communications, the quote-unquote paid people that sit desk and stand guard over the office, they need to be smarter. Stop allowing him to make these dumb decisions. You need to step up. It's ridiculous. It's the same thing over and over again. Aristotle said, you are what you repeatedly do. You are what you repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not an act, it's a habit.
Ooh.
We've got a habit of being dysfunctional. We've got a habit of being messy. We've got a habit of being gossipy. We've got a habit of focusing on minor issues instead of we're majoring in minor issues. We got a habit of doing that. Everything that don't matter, we love to get in that. And we fail to hold people accountable. At this point, Dr. Robinson, he's on the hot seat. He was just before the Board of Governors, people. They were not happy. That's not a good look for him. At the end of the day, the buck starts and stops with him. They are holding him accountable. The board of trustees are holding him accountable. It's on us alumni. We need to stop pacifying this foolishness. He's getting paid almost $500,000 to run Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University and not run it in the ground. That's not fair. If he don't like athletics, if he can't do it, move the hell out the way. And let somebody that wants to do it, do it. Let somebody that has the skill set to do it, do it. Let somebody that cares about it, do it. Stop accepting this foolishness just because it's Dr. Robinson. Bump Dr. Robinson if he's not going to do a good job. The great Miles, General Miles, said if anybody brings harm to FAMU, anybody, may his arm lose his cunning and may his tongue cleave to the roof of his mouth. He need to step up or get out the way. That's just the bottom line. It's been too long. We've accepted it too long. It's time to move on. You know, when was the last time we had an all sports championship, Kelvin? When was the last time we won one?
I don't know, man.
Brian?
It's been a long time.
Brian, when's the last time we had an all sports?
Somebody in the chat room, quickly look it up. Somebody tell us because I can't remember.
It's been the 90s. It's been the 90s.
98? 98? I'm just throwing the 90s out there. 98? Yeah. So that is what so the sort of curveball, which has sort of come from this committee, we have two different sources citing additional finalists. Now, one of those sites, one of our favorite Rattler blogs, and I can try to tell you both of them, but they both got the same name. I don't know who's who anymore. But anyway, I'm just gonna say our favorite Rattler blog, two of them. I don't know why one won't just change the name, but anyway, I'm not gonna get into all that. One of them is reporting that Ulander Wells, who actually happened to be after the round of 12, he was one of the two candidates that the executive board unanimously liked and approved to move on to the round of 6. He later withdrew his candidacy after or sometime around, he did an on-campus visit, but he decided to withdraw his name. Now, he is the deputy director of external affairs at Harvard University. He's had a change of heart, apparently, and maybe a finalist. Maybe.
Whatever.
Yeah. Now, there's also a potential curve in that sources from our other blog says that Detroit Mercy's current athletic director, Robert C. Vowles Jr., has been requested by Dr. Robinson to be a candidate in this. Now, Vowles' name is interesting because he is someone who has I'm just gonna, I had a source that gave me some good information on Vowles. A great deal of experience, having worked not only at the Big Ten, then the SIAC, where he helped the SIAC during a period when they were, as it was described here, broke and dying. He helped them out of their situation or move forward. The Swac, he was also the Swac commissioner for a very short period of time, but he did land the original first major TV deal with ESPN, then with NBC. And no, this is not the Swac deal that a lot of folks are out here running and complaining about. He was not a part of that. This was the original Swac ESPN deal. So he has an experience as a commissioner with both conferences. He ended up leaving the SWAC to work with the NCAA. He knows APR. He knows the business and has done a very good job by all reports as the AD at Detroit Mercy, which is a private school. So when we throw that extra name into the mix, it just don't be surprised about the name being somebody other than one of these three that the executive search committee. And Kelvin, I remember you saying at one point in time that you wouldn't be surprised if something to that effect happened. That regardless of who the search committee may come up with, there could be a wild card that ends up being plopped down on Robinson's desk, and he may say, I'm going to go with this person.
So I have a lot of history, 17 and a half years in administrative positions. So I have a good feel of how things go. It's one of the main reasons why I didn't want a committee in the first place. If you're going to make a decision and this is how it's going to end, where you break your rules and policies and you go outside of that committee, then why pay the money for a search firm and all that stuff? It's foolishness is what it is. And it's nothing to say about those two candidates, except for, I mean, if you don't quit on me before I hire you, why would I consider you to hire you again? I mean, I really don't get that. You said you didn't want to be a part of the process. You was a part of the process. You was a front runner in the process, and then you made a decision. Well, this ain't what you want. So I believe you. This ain't what you want. And so I have an issue with someone trying to change their mind, have a change of heart at this point. Because when you put your name in the hat, you understand what this process is. But in terms of just the committee process, man, this is what I expect. Anytime we have a committee, it's like the front person for whatever decision that's made. It's like the wizard behind the curtain, right? Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Unfortunately, it happens often, and most of the time it doesn't work out well for the best interests of the university, and particularly the students, the supporters, and the faculty and staff of the university. It only benefits the administration in that short term.
Well said. Let's step away and take a break. Get ready for the second half of the show. Get into talking a little bit Swac roundup. I'm sure maybe if this conversation comes up anymore, but there's really not much more to say at this point. Personally, I would not be surprised if a candidate is selected prior to next Saturday's home game. I mean, it just kind of fits the open window to see something happen. We'll see what direction Dr. Robinson decides to go. That'll be coming up here, I would imagine, over the next week. But when we come back on the other side of the break, we'll get into talking about the Swac roundup, talk about our volleyball team in action over the weekend with a sweep in North Carolina. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time. I'm proud and I love my HBCU. HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time. I'm proud and I love my HBCU.
Some carriers will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No. 7 times the... Music, gaming, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment. Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm returning to Clinton Parish, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Parish, we take the pain out of being heard.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
More highlights right there from Saturday night's win, the 11th straight home win, which I believe is the most I believe it's the most in HBCU. Not really sure where that falls in general in terms of FCS, but 11 wins is still a nice number. So that was that big second quarter there where FAMU outscored Albany State 17-0 there in that second quarter. So before we get into going into the week 2 roundup and looking ahead to week 3, I know we wanted to finish off the conversation just a second for a few minutes here. And so, Kofi, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of finish up on the AD search and all the candidates and all that good stuff.
Well, you know, the guy from Harvard, I'll just say that they let back into this, or I want to say allegedly, let him back in, went out and asked him to come back. For me, anytime you quit or you take your own name out of the whole process, you didn't really want to be here. So, away with the foolishness, and stuff hadn't even really started yet. It's not an easy job. And if you're not up for the task, and if you feel like FAMU's going to ruin your good name, stay away. Don't even bother coming back. Stay on over there. And we want people that really want to be here. If he's not up for the task and doesn't have the heart to stand through, ta-da-da, TDD, or bololo, or whatever, bye-bye. Why he's back in there is absolutely absurd. And I think it speaks to the lack of respect that we have for our own institution. As much as we love, look, you can't stand the heat, stay at the kitchen. FAMU needs somebody in that seat that has the kahunas to be confrontational when necessary and to be wise as a serpent, to be able to go through and maneuver. That's part of what it means to be a rattler, to know when to strike, to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Rattlesnakes don't always release their venom. They give what's called a dry bite, just to warn people. But there's sometimes when it's necessary to release the venom, and having the right person in that seat, you have to be able to navigate that, man. And we've got to give full attention. Yes, we're the #1 public HBCU. I think that's kudos. That is a credit to Dr. Robinson. But at the same time, it's his failures that have us on the front page. It's his failures and his lack of wisdom concerning athletics that has him and our institution in Roland Martin's mouth. It's his ineptitude that got him rebuked before the Board of Governors. So we have to give attention to athletics, and we need to do it well, because we're talking about student athletes. They are the commodity. We want to do right by them, and consequently, they'll do right by us. All right, I'm done.
All right.
Amen.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate those words by both of you. So, all right. So let's get into the Swac roundup here. And obviously, while FAMU got a good win against a non-conference, there was really only, I don't think, was there any conference? There was no conference game per se. But some interesting, some good wins, but mostly blowouts. You had Mississippi Valley State getting shut out by Austin P. You had Alabama State getting blown out, going west to UCLA. I wouldn't call Alabama A&M losing 38-17 a blowout. It's an improvement from the previous week's blowout. Alcorn State got blown out. That's probably the most surprising blowout to me. I don't know.
Really?
52-0. 52-0. I mean, Alcorn had a very good game against the Stephen F. Austin the week before. Yes, I know Tulane is a FBS, but I don't look at them as one of the even upper half FCSs. I'd say they're
What
on the
conference is
bottom half.
Tulane in?
American, I believe.
Right?
American.
Yeah.
Yeah, AAC.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Texas Southern losing 59-27 to North Texas. Southern, of course, we expected them to get blown out, 65-17 to LSU. Prairie View that's another disappointing loss. Prairie View losing 21-13 in a game that they probably could have won, and they looked well. So as you go around and you look at some of these scores, Kelvin, whose performance, good or bad, surprised you, shocked you, so on and so forth?
Grambling State 47, Northwestern State 21. I've been talking about the Swac had to play these out of conference FCS games, and they have to start winning them. So kudos to Grambling State. They not only won, but they actually blew Northwestern State out. So that helps our conference as a whole, the image of our conference as a whole. Um, I'm disappointed that Prairie View couldn't pull it out, but at least they were competitive. Valley just got blown out by Austin P. I'm not as concerned with the D1 games because it is what it is. I know our fans like to say, "Man, Tulane is this," and they not. Hey, they budget still way bigger than our budget. They're a D1 program, man, and so more time than not, um, we're not going to win those games. And it ain't just talent and resources sometimes, right? They got additional staff, they got additional consultants, they got extra trainers, and nutrition and all these things. So those things make a difference, people. I mean, you can dress up 63 players in uniforms on game day and have them train and so forth. But all those other things make a huge difference in being able to win. Winning costs money, whether you like it or not. It don't guarantee a win now, as we saw with the FBS this weekend and some of those upsets. But it does most of the time translate. So anyway, I was disappointed overall with Swac play. I was even disappointed with my team. Right, we won. Albany State is a good team, so that's they would probably beat some Swac teams, to be honest. Um, However, I was more concerned, how we played. Right, I want to see us continue to get better. Um, we're nowhere near what we a finished product of what we can be. So overall, Bethune performance bad. I just thought they would be and wanted them to be more competitive with South Carolina State. That would have been really good for the conference image overall had they done that. But they turned the ball over and South Carolina State kind of ran it down their throat. So looked like another long season for Cookman, to be frankly, and they'll probably be looking for a coach. Maybe they usually don't fire their coaches before the season's over with, so he'll probably get a chance to finish it.
Interesting. Thoughts, Kofi, from around the SWAC? Any games that caught your attention?
Obviously, Jackson State, Tennessee State. That was a good game. Tennessee State stepped up defensively, and they had their opportunities to actually pull off the W. But from a conference standpoint, it was good that Jackson State got it, because if we are able to somehow run the table, it will bode well and boost our profile somewhat. But that 59-3 is, it's going to be hard to overcome it. But one game at a time, we're going to take it from there.
Yeah, I like the fact you mentioned that that performance by Jackson State further solidifies to me how good that defense is going to be, because what they did to Tennessee State was just a different level of dominance than what they did to us. I mean, after giving up an opening drive field goal, they forced 9 punts. I mean, 9 consecutive punts. Did not allow them to get anywhere near a scoring opportunity to even get a field goal attempt after that opening drive. And then they had something like 9 sacks in the contest. So, I mean, the only reason that score is not what our score was is because at least Tennessee State's defense showed up and forced them into field goals, 3 possessions in the red zone, and I think they got some turnovers. So that's the only reason that score was not similar to what happened to us. And so now Jackson State has gone 8 quarters without giving up a touchdown. Interesting matchup this week coming up against Grambling State, to say the least. Want to make mention of some statistical leaders individually for Florida A&M through the first 2-3 weeks of the season. Isaiah Major is tied for leading tackles in amongst conference players with 20, and Darius Fagan is tied with another player from Alcorn with 18. So those two of the leading tacklers in the conference. Now, of course, we've got 3 games under our belt. Everyone else pretty much that's listed has 2. So just kind of take that into consideration. Receiving leaders and catches leader is Xavier Smith, 220 yards, leading the conference in receiving yards. I believe his 22 catches, I'm just quickly here looking individually, his actual 22 catches leads the conference by about 7 more than Shane Hooks, who Jackson State's also played. Well, no, Jackson State's only played 2 games. So it'll kind of even out. We'll see the statistics really kind of even out after this week, since we have a bye week and a lot of teams are picking up games this upcoming week. All right, looking ahead to week number 3 here within the conference. Of course, the big matchup that a lot of people's eyes are going to be on in Jackson, as Grambling State in a non-conference conference game travels to take on Jackson State. Should be a sellout. That's a 1 o'clock ESPN 3 game. Any thoughts on that contest, fellas? That Grambling State, I don't know. Can they score? Can they get a win after getting Coach Hugh his first win of the season?
I mean, Grambling, anytime you show up to play, you obviously have an opportunity. Jackson State is obviously legit. So Grambling has to play a mistake-free. Their defense, I think, is capable of pushing and getting turnovers. But you got to find a way against Jackson State to score touchdowns. If you don't score touchdowns, you're not going to win the game. And it's, the analysts are definitely making a difference, but Hugh Jackson has his own analysts. So this is going to be, I would like to see a chess match of some sort. But the difference is going to come down to QB play. Shadur is much more seasoned than the guy that Grambling has. I predict much of the same with Jackson State coming out with the W.
I just saw Edwin Moore in the chat, in the feed, just said Jackson State hasn't won in Jackson against Grambling since '99.
All of that stuff that's a bunch of foolishness. It don't matter.
Yeah, it ain't got nothing to do with this stuff.
All these intangible things that people be bringing up.
I love you guys. I love you, those people who like to say, oh, those trends don't matter. Yeah, okay.
They don't.
Okay.
They don't. Okay. I mean, now Grambling, it's a rivalry, right? Grambling's going to come out with a ton of energy because, and Jackson State's going to get everybody's best shot because everybody knows that right now that's the team to beat. People don't want to get blown out. But in the Swac, you have to come ready to play every single week. If you don't, you will get beat. So Grambling's defense is legitimately good. It's just going to come down to Grambling's ability to score touchdowns. They score touchdowns, they have an opportunity. If they are able to run the ball, they have an opportunity. If they can maintain their physicality for 4 quarters, they're going to have an opportunity. What they cannot do is turn the ball over. And if they turn the ball over, it's going to be a wrap.
And I just add to that, Brian, I just add real quick that that particular game, I think South Carolina State has showed you the formula to beat JSU. You got to be able to create turnovers, as Kobe said, and then you have to capitalize on those turnovers, right? You have to actually score touchdowns when you get those turnovers. That is the formula to beating them, and it's going to take a yeoman's effort to beat Jackson in Jackson, their first home game of the season too. Bro, that's a tough order. We'll see.
Tough order. All right, I'm going to go through these other games. We got about 5 minutes here in this segment, gentlemen, so let's be quick. I'll be quick with our comments here. Alabama A&M hosting their first home game of the season against Austin Peay. I believe Austin Peay from out of the OVC. A&M predicted to be somewhere as a 17.5-point underdog. Of course, we see Alabama A&M the week after. What do you expect here quickly, Kelvin?
Austin Peay's going to win.
I want Alabama to show up with all those 5 stars and 4 stars. Austin P just what? That was Valley they just beat 41-0. So I'm with Kofi until I see till I see different. I'm Austin P gonna win.
Okay. Now this is an actual SWAC West contest. Texas Southern against Southern at a neutral site in Arlington, Texas. Southern expected to be a
University. Keep going.
3.5-point favorite.
What?
And
3?
look, 3.5. 3.5.
Southern by 14 or 21.
And does that, okay, if that happens, does that put Coach McKinney clearly on the hot seat?
Absolutely.
I hope so. I mean, he's not doing they don't have a defense. And Texas Southern doesn't really care. They care about football, but they don't care about football. Basketball is what they've invested in. And here's why I say that. They had a whole rivalry game against Prairie View. And the game wasn't sold out. Now, I know it was raining, right? But rain or shine, if FAMU plays Cookman in Tallahassee, it's going to be well over 40,000 people. Rain or shine.
Okay.
Texas Southern fans do not care about football. They don't.
And even if they did care, they still gonna get whooped by double digits.
Yeah.
Okay, double digits.
I told you I won't pick Andrew Body no more.
You did say that.
He's a good
you don't
QB.
need to comment on
He's
this
a
one.
good
He's a
QB.
great QB. Yeah.
He's a great QB, but
But
the
he
rest
can't do
of
it by
his team is
himself.
not very good.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. You don't have to comment on UAPB traveling to Oklahoma State. They are a 49.5-point underdog. This coming after beating somebody 76-3. All right, UAPB, your season starts now. Mississippi Valley State is hosting Division II Delta State. I believe Delta State still is Division II. They are a 6.5-point underdog. Quickly, any thoughts? Valley is 0-2 on the season.
Valley better win this game.
Yeah, for
And
the
it's going to be a
conference.
tough one.
Yeah, for the conference, we need Valley to win this game.
I got
I'm
you.
not
I
picking
know what
Valley.
you're saying. I know
I'm
what
not
you're
picking
saying.
Valley.
I know what you're saying.
But we need them to win.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a couple of contests against some PWIs in the FCS. Important matchups. You talk about winning some games. Prairie View A&M hosting Incarnate Word. I believe Incarnate's out of the Southland.
Incarnate, keep it moving.
But okay. A&M Prairie View is an 11.5-point dog at home.
They can't throw the ball.
Expected.
Keep it moving. Next.
They can't throw the ball. Interesting.
They can't throw.
Okay. All right. And Alcorn State travels to McNeese State, who I call the 13th member of the SWAC. I can't remember. I think they have won something like 14 or 15 consecutive games against SWAC opponents. It's some
Come on,
number like
Alcorn.
that.
Alcorn. Now, we need Alcorn to win this game. We need Alcorn to pull through.
We need Alcorn to win this game. Conference love. McNeese State gonna win.
But
yeah,
please,
I'm telling you, the number is.
Win.
Look, I'm telling you, the number is like, I'm gonna go find it. It's up there. It's like 14 or 15 in a row, and that's why we jokingly call him the 13th member of the SWAC, because they sort of owned SWAC opponents over the last decade or so. So yeah, it's time for Alcorn to get a dub. All right, all those games, you can go see those game times on swac.org. The Grambling State game, just to let you know, is a 1 p.m. game, and the the HBCU Go broadcast is the Texas Southern University. That's at 4 p.m. Central, 5 Eastern. So just to let people know. And I think all the other ones, maybe with the exception of Valley, you can pick up on ESPN. You can probably get YouTube for the Alabama A&M and Mississippi Valley State game. All right, let's take a break, because coming out on the other side of the break, our head volleyball coach, Coach Gokhan Yilmaz, is joining us. We're going to talk to him about the team's latest sweep in North Carolina, and then get into their upcoming travels as the conference season is not the non-conference season is coming close to an end. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Five-star backyards, Yellowwood brand pressure-treated pine. If it doesn't have this yellow tag, you don't want it.
Now, you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant-quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. Number 15?
Never not working.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Head & Shoulders scalp shield, never not working.
We are making the virtual HBCU experience available wherever you live through Stillman Online. We offer online degrees in business, criminal justice, psychology, and religion. Stillman also offers technology badges in cybersecurity and data analytics. You can participate in all student activities, fraternities and sororities, internships, graduation ceremonies, and much more. Apply for admission today at stillman.edu. Stillman College, where we prepare you for a different world.
Welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian, Kelvin, Kofi, and joining us right now, the head coach of our volleyball team, Coach Gokhan Yilmaz, live from an undisclosed location somewhere in the city of Mobile, Alabama. Coach, how you doing?
Very good. Thanks for having me. We're actually right outside of South Alabama's campus. Just got done with practice. So I ran back to the hotel. So I'm happy to be here with you.
Yes, indeed. Lady Rattlers are playing in the South Alabama tournament Thursday and Friday. So for any Rattlers in that South Alabama, Mobile area, you'll get a chance can go check out the team Thursday at noon Central Time against Ole Miss. And then on Friday, they've got two in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning Central Time against Eastern Kentucky. And then Friday, late afternoon, 5:30 Central Time against the host, University of South Alabama. But before we get into that, let's talk about last weekend as we finally got our first wins of the year. Got a good, clean sweep out in North Carolina. Coach, what leading up to that, some tough competition in those 7 previous matches. We seem to sort of find ourselves from the first up until that last one. What went right for us? What finally went right for us in that North Carolina series?
Well, we knew we would have a good team when we scheduled, and I always try to schedule in a way where we would challenge our team before conference season starts, and also try to play some opponents that's similar to the NCAA tournament teams we might see if we happen to win the conference championship again. And last year we didn't compete all that well against Florida in the NCAA tournament, so we thought we would challenge our team early on a little bit more. That's why we have more Power 5 competition this year. But we didn't have our entire team together until last weekend also for various reasons, and everybody was cleared last weekend, actually right before the first match we played against Greensboro. But it's not like we played bad matches. First 7, our Florida State match was very competitive. It could have easily gone to 4 or 5 sets. We wouldn't know what would happen if we were able to win that set 1. James Madison was a very competitive match at home. Same thing with Austin P, Sam Houston State first weekend. So we were showing progress. And like I think one of you stated last week, that the reason most of those sets being losses were the number of errors we committed. We were committing unusual number of high errors. So that was the difference maker last weekend. We kind of cleaned up our game a little bit. And just to give you an idea, the week after our home tournament, Nina Sharpton was selected newcomer and the setter of the week in Swac. And Brooke Hudson was selected defensive player of the week in Swac. And for this week, we swept all the awards. Aja Jones won the newcomer of the week. Dominique Washington was the player of the week. Iram was the setter of the week, and Brooke Hudson won the defensive player of the week this week.
Back to doing what we do, is sweeping those awards, Coach. That congratulations on the win. Go ahead, Kelvin.
So Coach, talk about the competition in this tournament tomorrow and Friday. You got Ole Miss Power 5. You got South Alabama, who's really pretty, usually pretty competitive and good in their conference. So just talk about the 3 teams we were facing and what you expect, and how what you expect from them and your team now that you got the whole team together.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me back it up to the last weekend. Elon was a very good team. Greensboro is always very competitive. I think we challenged them quite a bit with our serving. That's why that match ended in 3. And we love playing A&T. They're a rival from MEAC, and we had the opportunity to go play them at their place. They're considering coming to our tournament next year. Hopefully we'll be able to host them. This weekend, Ole Miss is very physical. It's a classic Power 5 team. Taller players, a really good coaching staff. They played a really difficult schedule on their end. That's why their record is not at the positive right now. We'll have to serve and defend very well, and our offense needs to be in good shape. I think it showed a lot of sparks this past weekend. South Alabama, again, one of the coaching staffs we're good friends with. Jesse Ortiz is their new coach. Did a great job, won their conference last year, and they're coming to our tournament next year as well. So we like playing home and away with them. They're bringing almost their entire team from last year, so they'll be very competitive. And Eastern Kentucky is, I think, 7-2 at the moment. Really big improvement with the new coach they hired. They're doing a lot of nice things. We're expecting all of these teams to push us and to present situations where we have to solve some of the puzzles and to get better over the weekend. And I think all 3 of them will present a lot of challenges, which we like.
Kofi, go ahead.
Yeah, I like, Coach, that you're putting our team in positions where they have to compete. About that whole floor management, because obviously you have a certain amount of timeouts that you can call. How do you develop that level of communication on the floor where they're able to problem solve, as you just said?
Part of it is experience. As you see, we have a very experienced group, and part of it is having a lot of older players. The other part is having players that played in college level for extensive period of time. Every player on our roster has started for a college team for a year or more. For example, Jada Taylor is playing behind Brooke Hudson right now as one of our defensive players. She's the preseason defensive player of the year in Swac. So that brings a lot of experience in that sense. So they've been through some of these difficult situations or ups and downs during the sets, and the momentum shifts. The other part is how you train. We train a lot of situational drills. We do drills where they have to solve a problem to win points, to be able to score from different parts of the net, or through different players, or maybe with the same player a couple of times if we find a good matchup. So we try to create these situations in practices as well. But there's no replacing the matches. I mean, they are the real deal. And our goal is always to do well in the conference championship. And it's a tournament. There's always going to be a situation where something goes wrong. And it's our job as coaches to train our team in a way where we've been through some of those challenges and we've found ways to be successful. And that's always our goal leading up to the conference championship.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, with your roster finally coming together in its entirety now, my question centers around, and I hate to say keeping everyone happy, because you know that's sort of like a good problem to have when you have a lot of talent. But how do you manage your roster when you have this much talent? And as you said, you have so many young ladies who have started at different levels. I mean, you've got several starters, so obviously somebody's got to come off the bench because only 6 can get on the court at one time. What's your philosophy? How are you sort of managing that process right now as you're gearing up towards the SWAC season?
Well, the first thing we do is we watch a lot of video with our team and individually with the players, trying to show some of the things they do well. Also, some of the things other players in their positions do. So that teaches them some of the expectations we have from everybody on that specific position. And the other part is keeping numbers. We have very good numbers on everyone, including practice. From jumps to hitting percentages to passing stats to serving. I think that really motivates player too, competing first against themselves. They want to better what they did the day before, and also trying to beat the other players in their position. And I think the last part is, as a coach, as a head coach, they know I'm going to be fair with them, and they know I don't have a short leash where somebody makes a couple of mistakes. We're not going to pull them off the court. They're all very good players. Everybody plays through funks at times. But we will also need different players in different situations because all of them have different strengths. Just to give you an example, one of our right sides is better blocker than the rest of the right sides we have. So if we need more blocking in a specific match, that's a certain player we're going to choose. One of them can hit a certain shot better than the others. So if that's the shot we want in that match, that's the player that we're going to go with. And playing 3 matches in 2 days and also playing 3 matches in 3 days in conference tournament, you always need players to step up, either coming from the bench or playing in different days. And that happened to us last year. We had Jasmine Robinson give us 22 kills in the semifinal match against Pine Bluff. She was the bright spot on that match. And then in the finals game, Emerald Jacobs came in and was the star of that match and gave us the lift. So we're expecting same difficulties because everybody's scouting us, but it's difficult to scout 12, 13, 14, 15 players compared to only scouting 6. So I think it gives us that flexibility to throw different things that we work in practice, and put all of our players in positions they can be successful.
Thank you, Coach. Go ahead, Kelvin.
So, Coach, before I get to my question, I want to piggyback off of your response to that and just ask how the young ladies taking to that coaching and to that approach. Like you said, they're a veteran squad. You know, they've been there, and I imagine they just want to win, but they're also competitive and they want to play as much as possible. How are their attitudes? How's the team chemistry at this point in the season with all the different pieces coming together?
Knock on wood, so far it's been great. Everybody has been supportive of each other. Practices has been very high quality, and what it gave us the option of resting our starters a little bit more in practices after we play. So the ones that didn't play much get more reps, and that's great for them. We have kids showing up during the day and getting extra reps on their own or help with the coaches. That's been really positive. That doesn't happen very often, and this team has done a very good job with that so far. So far so good, and I think the bottom line here is everybody wants to be a champion on this team, and they all realize that we need each other to do that. So, every link we have on this team is very important, and we're trying to push everyone to get better every time we step on the floor. Either we practice, either we lift, or we play a match.
Okay, and just one quick follow-up question. Have you had a chance to look at any of the MEAT programs yet? I know right now, out of conference, everybody's playing kind of up in competition. I think we lead the conference with 3 wins. There's a couple of teams with 2 wins. But just in general, if you've seen some of the SWAC competition, how do you size it up right now?
I'm watching them after the matches are done every week. Not only 1 or 2 of them, I watched everybody so far. As you know, we were picked number 1, but Alabama State is bringing a lot of players back. They landed a couple of good transfers as well. Same thing with Jackson State. Grambling State is doing well. I think they have a couple of wins. We're expecting Pine Bluff to be good again. And there's several other teams there that have a lot of younger kids. I think they will develop into very good players in the later part of the season. The level is better than last year, which is what we anticipated. That's why we put a lot of emphasis on recruiting kids and making each position on the court deeper than what we had last year, and being able to make our offense more diverse than it was last year. So I'm expecting it to be a very challenging season, and that's honestly what we want. We want everybody in the conference to get better. We want everyone to get a lot of out-of-conference wins. That helps conference RPI, and that helps the competition and also brings better players to the conference. And ultimately, we want everyone to increase their level. And I think coaches are doing a good job in SWAC with bringing good players in and also training them at a high level.
Kofi, go ahead. Finish it off here with Coach.
Hey, Coach. So talk about that tournament that we're going to host on next year. And, in terms of the support and sponsors, how can we help to make that tournament a real resounding success?
Yeah, thanks for the question. We were talking about that in the department earlier today. We actually co-hosted a tournament with FSU this year, and that didn't happen in 2019, but we had that same idea in the past as well. But it's more like FSU's tournament. We pitch in with hosting some of the matches, but we also wanted to run our own. And when we committed to come to this tournament in South Alabama, Jesse and I, South Alabama's coach, we agreed to do home and away. When we went to North Carolina A&T, I was talking to their coach, Hal. He's open to, again, doing the same thing, keeping the connection with HBCUs, coming down and play us. So that gives us 2 teams, and we're going to look for 1 more to make it a 4-team tournament. We're at the stage of figuring out which weekend does not have a football conflict. It looks like it's either the last weekend in August for next year, I think it's the 25th and 26th, or the second weekend in September. First weekend in September, FSU is hosting the tournament. We're going to be playing at home with them. But in that second weekend, there is a football game, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be a high demand weekend. It's an FSU football game, but our team is away. So it will either be the last weekend in August or the second weekend in September. We are working on securing a sponsor hotel to name the tournament after them. And besides that, it's just the community coming together and supporting us. And we discussed it in your program before. We ultimately want to play in Gaither. We want to make Gaither home of FAMU volleyball. Calvin was one of the ones that had that idea initially, took charge with it, and hopefully with the new administration will complete everything there. So I think getting the word out there that we have a good volleyball team like you've been doing, promoting that weekend and filling that place. So we have a very competitive home tournament, and that really helps our team. If we can be at home 2 of the 4 weekends before conference starts, that helps with everything. That helps with travel, that helps with budget. It can really help us advance our program even further.
Thank you, Coach.
And we gotta find a way to make sure every high school volleyball program in the area within 30 minutes of campus comes out. That's where you get your big time support from, not only just the local FAMU fan base, but also get the volleyball community in town that'll get out and support. And so that'll be big as well. So that's a little something to the marketers there, just to kind of say, hey, throw in something for those high school and club volleyball programs that you guys have up there in the Big Bend area, and those kids will come in and make some noise. I know they will. So that just more added seats or people in the seats. So, Coach, after this weekend's tournament, you're back in town on Sunday against UAB. They're I don't know who they're playing this weekend, but I know they're coming in on Sunday to Eastern. Do you allow yourself to look ahead at them, or when does the preparation start for UAB?
Well, UAB is coming in town to play FSU and us. So they're playing FSU on Saturday, and they're going to play us on Sunday. And we're lucky that South Alabama was able to move this tournament to Thursday, Friday, so it allows us to go back and play another home match. What we do in the beginning of every week, we look at all of the teams we play that week, and we find some common things that they do and some of the things we can do to be successful against those teams. We work on that for the first couple of days, and then we go more into specific regarding each opponent. So we have watched them. We know the style of play they have. They have a couple of very good players. Their libero is, I think, one of the top liberos in the nation by numbers, and they have a very good outside, can hit out of system and in system, very high scoring player. And they're a good Conference USA team. I think they're going to be a big challenge for us. But we're happy to bring these teams to Tallahassee to play them on our home court. And when you play at home, you always like your chances. It doesn't matter who you play. I think it's going to be really a fun match to play. But it also shows how far along we've come in a short time, where we had very hard time finding home matches in the last 4 or 5 years. People didn't think it was worth for them to travel and play us in Tallahassee. Now we hosted a tournament with James Madison, Austin Peay, and Yale. That's 3 additional home matches this year. While we have UAB coming to play us, we also have UNF coming to play us in the midweek. So that gives us additional 5 matches at home, hopefully more next year. If we happen to make that tournament work, we want to play in front of our home crowd, fans, all the Rattlers that are in Tallahassee, to play here as much as possible. And really make a homestand here, hopefully in Gaither, if not in El Los, and play more of those matches.
Cover, Coach.
All right. Well, yeah, definitely. So, Coach, hey, get some rest tonight, and one big game tomorrow against Ole Miss. We're gonna be tuned in to watch that, and then we've got 2 on Friday. So we wish you and the team much success. Give you the last word. Any final thing? Anything we forgot to ask you, or anything you want to promote or talk about before we let you get some rest tonight?
As always, I really appreciate your support. You guys have been great covering our team, paying attention to what's going on. I wish we had a better start to the season, but we tell our team too, we can't do anything about the past. Now all we have to worry about is what happens in the next 10 weeks and then the conference tournament. And hopefully we'll keep improving every week and every practice, and we'll make you all and the Rattler Nation proud again.
Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Well,
sir. Hey, we got you, Coach. We got you. We looking forward to this weekend, this season, and we're excited. So wish the team all the best. You guys stay safe out there, and good luck tomorrow. Get a dub. Take care of business. Since you guys booted Ole Miss out of the hotel, go beat them on the court too, Coach. We got you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you all.
All right, Coach. Take care. All right, that's Coach Gokhan Yilmaz. Hey, do you like the fact that Coach watches the show? You heard him reference the stats. You heard him reference the stats. All the hard work I did getting stats. You heard Coach reference it.
Lord, he done created
Yes,
a
sir.
monster.
The stats.
Kobe, we in trouble.
Y'all be poo-pooing my stats like, B, why are you giving us all these stats? Nobody cares. Coach, look, see? Somebody was paying attention. Okay, we got to go through picks contest right now. Now, I got to go. I honestly did not keep an official record of last week, so I have no
Shame on
idea
you.
who did what. Yeah, I guess it's on me, so I'm going to have to go back and watch the end of the show. But here we go. We got 5 games. That's what we're picking. 5 games straight up, no points, just wins and losses, and we'll have an official tally after next week. I promise I'll go back and write all this stuff down. All right, so
let's
game
go.
number 1, Austin P travels to Alabama A&M.
Austin P. Austin P.
Austin P. I so want to. This is one of those games I want to pick A&M, but no.
I do too.
Austin P.
Okay. I won't be surprised if A&M wins. I'd be like, God doggone, I wish I would have picked them. Okay, number 2, Incarnate Word at Prairie View.
Incarnate Word.
I think you guys are crazy. I'm going Prairie View. I'm
hey,
at home.
That play matters.
It's not that they don't. Okay, they have a strong rushing attack. That was a winnable game last week. If they win that game, okay, all right. I'm going Prairie View. That's all I'm gonna say. Prairie View.
Next.
Alcorn State at McNeese State.
I really want to pick Alcorn. I really, really want to, but I'm not. McNeese.
I was gonna say, don't you have like family ties with Alcorn? Is that why you really want?
I do. My mom went to Alcorn, and I'm picking McNeese.
All right.
If Andrew
but I
played
want
for
Alcorn to win the
Alcorn,
game.
hey, if Andrew played for Alcorn, I might pick Alcorn, but because I don't know their quarterback, I'm gonna keep saying this thing. I don't think they got their quarterback can beat that caliber team. So I'm going with the visiting team.
The 13th. So wait a minute, who you going with? Alcorn?
No, I'm not going with Alcorn.
No, that's the visiting team.
Well, the home team then.
Oh, okay. The 13th member of the Swac. Were you giving us a little bit of breaking news there? If Andrew Body goes to Alcorn, is that what you're hinting at potentially, Kelvin?
No,
is that what you were just doing?
Don't put that on me.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. I just thought I might have heard something there.
I could throw a nugget out there, but I wouldn't do it.
Don't do it. Okay, so I'm sticking with Alcorn. I picked them to win the SWAC for games like this. Don't disappoint me, Alcorn. Please beat the 13th member so this streak can come to an end. All right, here we go. SWAC contest. I know who Kelvin's not picking. It's Texas Southern versus Southern.
Southern
Well,
University.
Kelvin, we know who. You ain't even got to say anything, Kelvin.
I'm
You've
on
already
record.
told us. Yeah, I got to go clean sweep too. I got to go Southern. I mean, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, Texas Southern. Prove me wrong. Grambling at Jackson State. Home opener for Jackson State.
J-State.
Battle of the Tigers.
J-State.
J-State. Yeah, you got to go with the more dominating defense. Will it be
And the
close is the
quarterback.
question.
Now, I think Grambling, for the record, I do think Grambling can win this game. You know, but
how? Explain how. How?
Well, they have to run the ball. They have to run the ball. They can't turn the ball over. They got to play good, solid defense. They got to be physical and pressure Shadur.
I agree with the physicality part.
They can do that, huh?
I agree.
Grambling can do it. Okay. I saw them last year. They beat Alabama A&M.
Last year. I'm messing. Go ahead.
Last year they beat Alabama A&M and they beat Southern University without a good head coach, without a real meal to eat. They had to eat Rice Krispies and Frosted Flakes.
Not a real meal to eat.
And Cinnabons.
But
this year they had full meals. This year they had full meals. They had to deal with Thick 36 last year. She's not going to be in Jackson.
Lord,
so
she's going to be there. She just ain't going to be on the sideline.
Right. So the thing is, I think Grambling does have an opportunity to win this game. But I'm not convinced that I'm not convinced about Grambling's QB yet. And they're going to have to make plays and they're going to have to score a touchdown. So that's what this is. All right.
Who'd you say, Kelvin? Did you already give yours?
We already said J-State. Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm with Kobe. It's possible, but I'm going with J-State.
Okay. I'm going Jackson State as well. So I think they'll give up their first touchdown though of the season this week. Might not be until the second half though, but I think they'll give up their first touchdown though. Final score prediction that I want from you guys, and then we're done. What will FAMU's volleyball record be over these next 4 games? 4 games in 5 days. 4 games. What will the record be in this 4-game stretch?
I'm going to say 4-0. We expect greatness on the Heights of Seven Hills. Beat them all.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to get my analyst answer, not my homer answer.
There you go. That's what I like.
2 and 2 would be good. 3 and 1 is pop. 3 and 1 would be awesome. But 2 and 2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 3 and 1. Looking at the metrics on these other, actually on all 4 teams, the highest rated team, despite the record, is Ole Miss, who actually fall into a top 100 team. But the other 3 are all 200 or less. So I'm gonna say 3 and 1. And if we work ourselves and steal against Ole Miss, hey, that'd be great.
Right.
Then it'll be a 4-0. It'll be a 4-0 period. So I'm saying at least 3-1. Hopeful for 4-0. All right, fellas. Well, that'll do it for tonight's show. Excuse me, loaded show here. Obviously, a lot to talk about, a lot to digest, but feeling really good about it, and we'll see. We'll see what happens over the next week.
We have an AD next week.
That's what we're predicting
now. I'm predicting. We have
Jesus,
we're calling it. We won't say who. We're not gonna say who. We're just gonna say. Are you predicting an AD? Are you predicting an AD next week, Kofi, by next Wednesday's show?
We need to. It's not that difficult, people. It's not that difficult. But Lord knows they are making it difficult.
So you're
They're
predicting
making
that
it
we will
difficult.
have.
Yes.
I'm gonna say no. I think they're gonna wait until after. Probably do it like on Thursday or something. The closer to the weekend,
We'll
the
see.
better. Probably like the
Lord have
Friday
mercy.
news dump where they do it on Friday, like
Help
at
us,
4
God.
o'clock.
Lord Jesus.
All right, that's gonna do it. So we'll see what happens over the course of the next week. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ONG Strike Zone. Go download the Jericho Broadcast Networks app, which you can find on the Google and Apple Play Store. Just search my JBN, my BCSN, and go download the BCSN Pod Zone. Everywhere you listen and download podcasts, iHeart, Google, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, we're there. So please, please, please go check out the podcast and then share it. Share, rate, subscribe to everywhere you're watching us. I know you guys, them boys, like AD predictions. Now, all we'll tell you is that 2 out of 3 says that we'll have an AD next Wednesday. We're not going to try to go and predict who it is because that's like rolling dice right now. I have no idea who it's going to be, but we'll all be surprised together if whoever it is, right? We'll all be surprised together. So let's just say a prayer that the right decision is made and that FAMU allows this person to be great. That's all I got. Thank you to producer Mel for hanging in and producing a great show tonight. For my boys, Kelvin, for Kofi, he said I got to go. Oh, there he is.
No.
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
No, you wasn't. You
I'm
was trying to get rid
Brian
of him.
I know. I'm Brian Fulford. Rattler Nation, no matter who they are, no matter what they say, just put these 2 fingers up and just tell them, hey, don't mess with us because we're going to strike. Strike.
Shout out
And strike
Reggie
again.
and his wife.
You went by yourself?
Yes, indeed. Shout out to Reggie and his wife who came up and showed us some love at the game. I know it was raining, so we didn't get a chance to say hey to too many people, but hopefully Alabama A&M, we will. Alabama A&M, we're going to try to do a meet and greet somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere. All right, so that's going to do it for the show. Rattler Nation, be safe, be smart. Peace out.
All right.
Spinning wheels, spinning wheels, spinning wheels.